which highlights surgical skill, innovation and timely intervention. Our first case is that of a 16-year-old boy who had a very, it was actually a very difficult case. The second case is very unique and rare, and it involves a new field of medicine called interventional radiology, and this procedure helped us save a life, and that is by our Dr. Ved Kakurov, who is a consultant interventional radiologist. The third case involves Victor Cancer Care, and it is a limb-saving surgery. It is done by Dr. Avinash, Dr. Vikas, Dr. Surajani and Dr. Rahul.
We are in our 20th year of service to the community, and in Victor Hospital, I'm sure we'll go back and see how things have changed and how much we have invested in doctors and equipment to make what these doctors are going to show you today possible. But we should always know that it is the manpower and the doctors who make the difference. You may have whatever equipment you want, but it's the timely action and the expertise of the doctors that are going to be shown today, which will show you how things can be done differently. The first case is an acute intervention. To say the patient was bleeding profusely, he would have died. Actually, he came with blood pressure which was probably not going to stay like that. He would have arrested and he would have lost the case. But because of the timely intervention, we could save that boy's life. 16-year-old boy who had a glass injury in the perineal region. Then the second case, I think, is Dr. Ved's case, where they show non-surgically how they can help stop the same bleeding, same type of bleeding rather, without surgically intervening. And the third case is also an amazing case because it is something that many years back the patient would have lost his limb completely. But here the doctors, 3 sets of doctors with the anesthetists took the pains to operate, to get the implant, the grafts and everything in place, and see that the patient still has the use of his leg, which is quite amazing. 20 years back, this must have been very difficult.
The brief history of the patient is he sat on a glass table and the glass broke down, and it has penetrated his anal canal, with leading to a profuse bleeding, and he has lost approximately a bleeding loss of 2 to 2.5 liters blood, and he was in shock actually when he came to the emergency. So we immediately took the patient back into the OT, and I have repaired the perianal injury, and we have done the CT scan of the abdomen after repairing the perianal injury, and we got to know that the patient has suffered urinary bladder injury, that is perforation, that is a hole in the bladder, and as well as there is a major bleeding inside the abdomen too. So we decided to go for the surgery. We opened the abdomen, me along with Dr. Madhuja ma'am, who is a urologist. So Dr. Madhuja ma'am prepared the bladder, and we have ligated we stopped the bleeding inside. We ligated the artery. So it was a near fatal injury which has caused for the patient, and at the timely intervention we could save his life.
It's looking like the left one which is bleeding. This is very important because if we do ligate both sides, because a male child, it would affect his sexual function later on in life. Okay, so because the radiologist told us that it is the left one which is bleeding, we ligated only the left one. After that the bleeding stopped, and then the bladder suturing. Suturing of the bladder is not a very big issue, but the main thing is by the time the moment we ligated the artery, his BP started coming up. It's not common to ligate the internal iliac arteries. It's a very rare type of a surgery. It doesn't happen often, even in major trauma settings. So it was interesting because
child is 16 years age.
How old is this case?
Like 3 weeks back.
What about the patient? How is his recovery?
He's doing well, sir. Actually, he's from outer Bihar. Actually, he came for a wedding, so he left. He went back to his home. He's doing well.
What are your predictions for his future? What do you see?
He'll be fine, sir. No issues. I've been regularly talking to him on the video call.
This case, a middle-aged man from North Karnataka came to our emergency department just 1 week back with multiple episodes of vomiting of blood. So, on presenting in the emergency, his hemoglobin was checked and it was very low, less than what a normal person should have. Basically, it means that his blood loss was a lot due to vomiting of blood. So, he was admitted. And in these cases, usually an endoscopy is done to see the source of bleeding. So, gastroenterologist Dr. Alvarez did the endoscopy and he saw that there were multiple swollen veins in the food pipe, which is the esophagus, and the upper part of the stomach. And there was blood in the stomach. Now, so the probable source of bleeding was from the stomach. But just as a precautionary measure, he blocked the food pipe veins from outside. But the stomach veins, you can't block on endoscopy because they were spread out in the entire stomach. So we thought of going through the liver vein. And through the liver vein, we thought of going from outside. We punctured the liver vein. We went into the veins, these dilated veins of the stomach, and we injected medical glue. It's like Fevicol, but medical Fevicol, we can call it, super glue. So we injected that and all the stomach veins immediately got blocked from inside. And soon after the procedure, in fact, the patient stabilized. His hemoglobin remained the same. And in fact, he got discharged yesterday in a good condition. And this procedure was done under the expertise of Dr. Keith, obviously, by me, with the expertise of Dr. Keith. So now why we are talking about this case is because if we had not gone through the liver vein and we had put glue, the last option would have been surgery. But surgery is opening up and doing, general anesthesia has to be given. So this procedure in fact was done under local anesthesia with 1.6 millimeter hole, that is it. 1.6 millimeter, that was the hole.
I came across a patient, a middle-aged man, who used to work in a ship. And for many years, as he started to work in a ship, he started developing pain in his leg. And subsequently, the pain became so severe, he was not able to walk. Then, because of the severe pain, he had to quit his job, come back to India, and he consulted various doctors. He had gone to multiple government hospitals, and some places they told him that he was having a cancer, and because of which he went to Mumbai. The moment I saw him entering my OPD, a patient was having very severe pain. His right knee joint was swollen, he was limping, and he just couldn't do anything. He just sat on the stool and he told me the entire history. And I noted that he was carrying a tumor in his right knee joint. So what we need to understand is, this is a type of tumor which is locally aggressive. That means locally it spreads. It does not go into the circulation, but locally it spreads. So when you take the knee joint, there are a lot of important structures in the knee joint. This is when we formed a team consisting of myself, Dr. Vikas, orthopedic surgeon, and Dr. Suraj Rane, the plastic surgeon. So our plan was to perform a surgery wherein you remove the half of the bone in the thigh, remove his entire knee joint, remove the 2 bones in the leg. It is basically removing the entire thing. And whatever the nerves, the blood vessels, the tumor was infiltrating, invading, everything was separated and it was reconstructed.
These sarcoma surgeries like this is very challenging for an anesthesiologist because they are very long surgeries. It's almost 16 to 18 hours, including the time for our anesthesia. And the success of this surgery a lot depends on how we maintain the blood pressure during the surgery, how we maintain the electrolytes, the different sodium, potassium, calcium, chloride levels, how we maintain the acidosis. Everything has to be optimum. Then only like the graph that Dr. Suraj explained will be taken up on the fresh area when revascularization will take place. So it's requires very aggressive monitoring. So what I did is obviously this is a long surgery, so we go for general anesthesia along with a continuous epidural infusion. So the epidural infusion makes sure that my requirement of general anesthesia is reduced. So like the patient becomes less prone for prolonged ICU stay. So then afterwards I utilized very aggressive hemodynamic monitoring like invasive blood pressure, beat by beat monitoring of blood pressure.
Subscribe and follow our YouTube and Facebook channel for more videos.